happened that long ago. It was set in place maybe 8 or 9 years ago. So those are the guys who have the influence and the power, and they are the ones who are also going to be setting up the North American Union over here, and there's also going to be an Asian Union and an African Union, and those are the guys who are working to bring it together.
I don't really know what Bilderberg's position on this is, but I do understand your question. The Security and Prosperity Agenda, which was signed by Vicente Fox of Mexico, myself, and President Bush at Baylor in Texas, and you're absolutely right in that part of the question, has nothing to do with an economic union. What it really was that Fox and I both said, Fox because of immigration, me because of Mad Cow, because of softwood lumber, essentially said, look, there are a number of items which are violating the spirit of NAFTA. They're not violating the letter of NAFTA, but they're violating the spirit of NAFTA. And if effectively we're going to be able to build a strong North American economy and compete with some of the Asian powers, we've got to be able to talk outside of NAFTA. And that's what it was all about. And what we said is we've got to be able to get our business communities together. Because I felt very strongly that we were having a terrible time with Congress on softwood lumber. And I really felt that if the Canadian business community was able to deal directly with the American business community and point out some of the stuff, it would give us a bit of a leg up. I can tell you it has nothing to do with any kind of a union.
There was a meeting held in Banff between military, political leaders, private business from Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. to discuss issues surrounding North America. But the meeting was closed off to the public, kind of veiled in secrecy. What kind of stuff was discussed at this meeting regarding the future of North America?
That was the meeting that Peter Lougheed and George Shultz coordinated?
Yeah, it was the one, it was at a hotel in Banff, I believe.
Yeah, I think Peter Lougheed coordinated that from the Canadian side. I don't remember exactly. There were general discussions about issues that each country faced, and we had, as I recall, there were some fairly senior people from the U.S. that were present.
Yeah, I remember them saying Donald Rumsfeld might have been down there at that time. No, he wasn't there. This is what happens when media was cut off from it. That's why you get misinformation, disinformation. Once you get the media out of things like this, they can't report authentic
I can guarantee you get misinformation when the media is present also.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Why keep the media out of it? If there's so many important people there, some big decisions could be made that could help inform the public more.
But it was not a decision-making group. I mean, I was there. I'm just a lawyer from Toronto and Ottawa, so I have some experience, and I can talk knowledgeably about the issues that we face, but I'm not making any decisions. I don't hold any office. I don't buy into the conspiracy theories around meetings. I think some of that is deliberately misinformative. Do we need the media to be probing and to be asking questions? Absolutely. And there's no doubt about that. Can you have meaningful, productive meetings with the media present? Sometimes. Sometimes you don't, if the media are present, you don't have a meeting. So, you just have to, you have to do things, with a certain practicality to it.
You have three primary groups that have been working on this for some time, more pronounced since the Second World War, but there are three key groups involved, and this is the Council on Foreign Relations, or its sister arm in Canada is the Canadian Council of Chief Executives, which is about 150 executives of corporations which control over $3 trillion in assets in Canada. The Trilateral Commission, which is by and large looking for this world integration. And the Bilderberger Group, which is a group of individuals who see this whole new role for society, building this global elite of integrating all of the countries together under one global single parliamentary command. So New World Order is being sold to the populace as being something that's good for us, for our own security and our own prosperity. It's not been voted on. public are not even aware it's going on. But it's all part of these steps of changing the laws of the land, where you have regulatory bodies and corporations dictating what happens in nations. And we end up losing our nationhood and our sovereignty, which is quite frightening.
The only prominent non-governmental sort of group that have really paid a good deal of attention to this has been the Council on Foreign Relations. And their task force did come out with an articulate, and Mr. Pastor was involved, a vision, well argued, John Manley in Canada. It was a very distinguished group of Americans, Mexicans, and Canadians who argued for a North American community.
Well, we tried to work collectively with broad representation from all three countries, Canada, the United States, and Mexico. We were looking at really NAFTA that many years, more than 10 years after it came into effect, saying, you know, what should be the next steps? Where can we go from here, if anywhere? And there was a broad range of views, certainly among the people that the Council on Foreign Relations asked to be part of that.
The Council did not endorse it, because the Council doesn't endorse the work of its task force. And they didn't hold any, public meetings on it. But it was, they I think, went beyond anything that has been occurred in the Trilateral or Bilderberg in analyzing the merits in this paper they produced in this task force.
I think that we struggled a lot with this basic question. I mean, do you want to be, bold and brash? Do you want to be incremental? Do you need a common view for all three countries? Can there be a common goal, but moving at different speeds? And so we tackled a lot of those issues. We tried to make, I think, a contribution to the direction that countries might go. At the end of the day, has a lot been accomplished? Not really. But sometimes these things take time to bear fruit.
What are your thoughts on a North American union between Canada, America, and Mexico?
I don't know. I think with the free trade agreement, we pretty much have that right now, don't we? So there's no point you're just going to change the name. It's the same thing already that we have.
Well, I don't agree with it. I mean, we've already got the NAFTA agreement with Mexico and the United States.
Pienso que es una relación que nos afecta pues a toda la comunidad mexicana. Pues yo pienso que primero se tendrían que establecer claramente en qué nos beneficiaría y en qué nos afectaría. Pues más que nada yo pienso que pedir la opinión de la comunidad de cada país, que al fin y al cabo pues somos los que más resentimos ese tipo de unión.
Pues considero que no ayudaría nada a México porque resulta de que nuestro dinero nunca vale.
I don't think it's really a good thing at all because, what does that mean for Canada and where Canadian citizens stand?
I don't see them coordinating any kind of understanding that everyone can be on common ground with. And the corruption too. Who gets what? Who's going to provide the leadership? You don't know how society exists these days. It's very difficult to get any kind of truth.
It's obvious that there's another agenda going on here. If this was something that was for everybody's benefit, it would be front page news. But because it's not, because it is secretive, you got to ask why.
Why the secrecy? Why wouldn't they tell us about this?
Well, because the corporate interests are basically the ones that are benefiting from this. And if anybody looked at the actual amalgamation and what they have proposed, they'll see that it's only good for the corporations.
Do you think it would be beneficial for people or more beneficial for corporations?
That's a tough question. I'm hopeful that it'd be more beneficial for people, but my feeling would be that it's probably going to benefit more corporations.
Well, I think as an American and all other Americans should agree that it's obviously a plan to destroy national sovereignty.
I think that if we're going to adopt laws from other countries, then we should have a say on it.
I've heard about that, but I think it's going to be bad.
In the event of a financial meltdown